We're good. We're good.
It's
We're live.
quarantine life.
We're live. We're live. We are live drafting right now. I have my friend Michael Leone. He is here. He has been frantically setting up his wife's craft room to join me for an afternoon stream. How we doing, brother?
We're doing pretty well. You know, I think I'm more stressed about the background here than you are. But this is quarantine life. My office / my wife's craft room is just a disaster.
What kind of crafts go on in that room?
She's got this thing called a Cricut, and she like prints designs on mixed T-shirts, and
Nice.
She made a little logo sticker to put on my laptop.
Oh, that's nice. And is this also where you come when you get hammered and you get sent to the doghouse? Is this where you have to sleep?
Pretty much. make a little crevice somewhere in between boxes and sleep it off.
Thank you guys for tuning in today. Mike and I are going to talk about crafts for the next hour. Mike has a new glue gun that he's really excited to show you guys. And we will later, I believe in the second half, we're going to make those hand turkeys. I know it's not quite Thanksgiving, but that's what we had on tap for today. No, we are going to draft a Best Ball Mania team. It looks like we have about 4 more spots left in this bad boy. These 30-second pick clocks means the draft can come fast and furious. Leone and I might have slightly, differing approaches. I've been drafting 0 RB in these. Leone has been drafting robust RB. Unstoppable force meets immovable object. Who wins today, Mike?
I think the draft slot will go, a long ways to deciding who wins out here. Because, if we pick at the end of the first round, I don't mind not going robust RB because you're sort of just chasing that's what Siegel said. I watched some of the Periscope that you and Crane did with Siegel. And, he was saying you're just basically starting the same as the teams up front, but with worse players.
Yeah, that is probably one of the more simplistic and easy to understand arguments for 0 RB, I think. And again, the format and this stuff matters a lot. And, 0 RB without the waiver wire and needing to put up points quickly early in the season, not always conducive. But Sean's point is that you are drafting lesser versions, and not only that, but pushing stud wide receivers and tight ends to those early teams. So they're crushing you on every front. They're getting the better bell cow. Then they're getting an elite wide receiver pushed to them. Then they're getting an elite tight end while you try to chase that. So combating that with more wide receiver and tight end firepower, to me, that's just a very simple concept to wrap your head around.
Yeah. Where I struggle is just structurally with the best ball format. I ran through kind of like simulating a lot of lineups to figure out the best roster construction. And I know like RotoViz has some tools too, where you can look at actual lineups from past years. The way I did it sort of lumped all the years together so that, Kelsey went off one year. It's like, draft a tight end early. And it's like totally skewed. So I tried to get rid of that, but it just seems like if you can get, 3 or 4 RBs early and then just leave the position as it is, you can make up for the fact that you normally shouldn't draft RBs early by just pounding a bunch of wide receivers later. Because with the best ball scoring, you don't need to decide which receiver is in your lineup. So some of that edge of taking a really high-end wide receiver gets mitigated a little bit by the weekly scoring variance of the position where you can beat it with quantity instead of quality.
And I think the mistake that people make, again, I make fun of the robust RB guys a lot, but what you're describing is a hyper fragile running back start. And I think where people get into trouble is they go back to running back far earlier than they ever should. I mean, when we're talking about taking 3 of these guys up at the top, you're maybe taking 1, maybe 2 stabs later in the draft, but you're not touching these guys for a long, long time. And you don't see a lot of people that have the stomach for that because people fucking love drafting running backs.
Yeah. The worst thing you can do is draft running backs early and then still get 5 or 6 of them. That's the worst. We're agreed on that front for sure.
Yeah. We got people, they have seen the Jonathan Taylor workout photo. They want us to go 101 right here. Did you see that photo of him?
Yeah. It was hard not to with all the memes and whatnot.
Yeah. A grown-ass man if I've ever seen one.
Grown-ass man. We got to get a photo of Ronald Jones's calves. I heard, we just got a narrative of how well they looked, but I don't think we got a photo.
I know, I'm working on it. I shot him a message last night on Twitter, Ronald, and then I realized it was his birthday. He shares his birthday with Tom Brady. Did you know that?
I did not. The shower narrative to the next level, right? New teammates sharing a birthday.
Well, I felt bad because everyone is coming out of the woodwork yesterday to, congratulate Tom Brady on another trip around the sun. No one's congratulating Ronald Jones. No happy birthday wishes. Meanwhile, guys like me are asking him for photos of his calves. I mean, it was probably a rough day for him.
I got my first Rojo share last night. It was not my best draft, but I got my Rojo share.
I haven't got a chance to look at your board from last night. I pulled it up early. I saw Le'Veon Bell, and I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, it was one of those drafts where you're trying to structural draft, but you kind of hate the players. And then, I read the room wrong. Usually you love your team every draft, but I did not love this team.
I didn't necessarily love my pros versus Joe's team either. I mean, I went true 0RB from the 12 hole, and it's the 12 spot it's brutal. It's brutal because my thing for the 0RB, like the football guys team that we drafted, we were able to get George Kittle and Kyler Murray along with sick wide receivers. And I feel like when you have an advantage at every other position, you can kind of battle with those running back heavy teams. But often from the 12 slot, you're getting squeezed out of a top tight end. I missed Kittle and Kelsey. Then I missed Ertz and Andrews coming back. And then I also got squeezed out of the Kyler, Russell, Watson tier of quarterbacks. And so then I start to feel kind of gross about my teams when I feel like my only advantage is at the 2 wide receiver and flex spots.
Yeah. And, it's hard switching formats, as silly as that sounds, but like going from Underdog to FFPC, I got caught, not only is it tight end premium, but you've got 2 flex spots. So, it's kind of okay to get a few tight ends there, whereas I'm normally in 2 tight ends, maybe 3, and I ended up with 3 really crappy tight ends last night.
As we wait for this to fill, we still need 3 more spots, guys. If you want to jump into it with us, please do. What is your tight end approach in Underdog here with only the 18 roster spots?
I usually only take 2. I found myself I'm pretty big on Evan Ingram this year, and he's dropped to the 7th, 8th round, a few times that I've drafted. So I feel like I end up getting 2 guys in that 7th to 11th round range and then trying to only take 2. What are you doing?
I still like to get one of the elite tight ends, and I feel like with the Underdog, I don't know if it's adjusted, but Andrews ADP 38.5, I still think that's a really nice value, and Ertz is slipping too, so I don't mind getting one of those, but I haven't drafted a robust RB team yet, and so I haven't really had the chance to kind of punt the can down the road. The one, I think, argument too for sometimes waiting on tight end this year is it's pretty evenly tiered. Like there's tight ends in all different price points. So if you miss them at various points in the draft, you can hit your Ingram Waller tier. I love the Gesicki, Font, Hawkinson tier. Like there's all these different levels. So that to me, I've noticed sometimes when I take early tight end, I'm like, holy cow, Hawkinson slid this far. I would have, gone in a different direction had I known that.
Yeah, it's tough, depending on how you feel about those guys. Like I think the market's way too high on Hayden Hurst. So sometimes if it falls the wrong way, leaving you with the guys you don't like, it gets tricky. But I'm high on Austin Hooper, and the market doesn't seem as high on him. So there's usually someone, like you said, remaining because the tier is big enough that it's not just 2 guys or something.
And I know you have done a lot of research on stacking this year. I mean, are there any scenarios where you won't stack a quarterback, or are you really going out of your way to make that happen?
In best ball especially, I'm really going out of my way to make it happen. But I feel like there's certain teams that I know I have a chance to stack cheaply, and I use that as a tiebreaker early. So I don't end up totally jumping ADP. The Rams receivers, if it's a tiebreaker early, I know I can get Goff late pretty easily. Gerald Everett late, Josh Reynolds late if I want to double stack it. Cleveland seems to be pretty easy to stack. Baker doesn't go too high. You've got Landry, especially with him being on PUP, which I guess doesn't really mean anything. but he fell to me in the 9th round last night, and Hooper. So I'm pretty much trying to stack, but I'm trying to be aware of like my outs throughout the draft, so I end up doing it without paying too much of a premium to make it happen.
Here's a question for you. Do you have access, like, would Underdog hook you up with, can people have access to all the teams that have been drafted, like that real-time data?
I know some of the providers have it. I don't think Underdog does yet. I think they've been focusing so much on just getting the product out and making it work and getting these contests out that they don't have it yet. But I imagine at some point down the road they'll have it, which would be cool because you could see, how many teams are actually stacking and to what extent.
Yeah, Josh, it sounds like would be interested in this as well. That's what I was thinking too, of like, well, one, you could see the various, player combinations, how owned this are, but then you could start to look at the best, highest owned, like double stack combinations. Like, no one is stacked the Browns in the Dolphins double stack, or that's right, really low owned, and trying to hunt almost in a GPP way of leveraging ownership, where everyone now it's kind of like you can take a guess at which offenses won't be as popular to stack, but you wouldn't really know.
Yeah. And if you're playing the best ball tournament, or the best ball Mania, it's kind of nice to just mix and match a whole bunch. Did we get a draft spot yet?
Let's see. It did fill. Let's get here we go.
Oh no.
Where are we? Hang on.
We're not in the first 7, so I have a feeling I know where this is headed.
We got the turd. Turd. Oh God,
I can't. Different and not tight end premium, where if you did want to start elite tight end, you could, but I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. I don't like this.
I don't like it either. So let's start talking. So to me, clearly you've been kind of drafting the running backs here. I mean, who are the guys that you think have that ceiling to finish as a top 5 running back that we'd be taking at, running back 9 or 10 or whatever here?
I mean, if Sanders falls, Derrick Henry falls, but I'm not as high on Mixon and Drake as the market. The one time I did get the 12 spot, it's hard. People are going to snipe us if I say this. I don't think it'll. I'm used to the roulette wheel and getting sniped, but the one time I drafted out of the 12 spot, I went with a KC double stack out of the gate to switch things up with Hill, Kelsey, and then taking Mahomes in the 3rd, because then you're only taking 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and you can really spend a lot at running back, wide receiver in terms of quantity.
I did a team like that the other night. The same thing. Actually, I'll see if I can pull it up here real quick. And the thing I do love about that is how it frees you up. Here it is. So I only took Garoppolo along with Mahomes. And then so I had the Tyreek, Kelsey, and I basically punted tight end 2 with Howard, and then just went. Yeah. And then I had the 0 RB build because it's impossible kind of to do the robust RB and that Chiefs stack. And then got Hardman too. So I don't mind those like kind of really fragile things. So we do have Josh ADHD in here. We have Eric Belair, and of course, Pat Daily Rojo snuck in here as well. Looks like we have all running backs off the board. They're really going to put the screws to us here at the back end of the first round.
Yeah. So my fear is that the people watching, someone's just going to naked take Mahomes if we try that and leave us with Kelsey, Hill.
Yeah, I think
that's not the end of the world, but
you've been burned. But I don't think people in this one are going to be spite drafting as much for the lulz. But maybe they know of our capacity to tilt, and there's some tilt equity with the pick.
Man, Thomas goes to 9, so I could go. Yeah, there's no way I'm taking
It's gross, dude. It's so gross. I mean, Eckler would be like the only guy. I mean,
I'm not taking Eckler, so
let's head over to here. I mean, do we want to go for the Chiefs thing, or we could do something with Kittle and
let's go Kelsey. Go Kelsey, because that gives us 30 seconds to think about it.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna mess this up. No, I got it. We got 30 seconds. We're off to a great
start.
start.
So if we didn't take Hill. I think we should go for the Chief stack.
Yeah, let's
Unless
do it.
you just wanted to be super boring and take like Drake or something. But
No, I mean, come on, you're talking
Chief stack. Let's go for it.
talking to a man who is going to get burned at the stake someday for his zero RB ideologies, but I will be a martyr. I will go down with the cause.
I liked your and Denny's video the other day.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's tough out there. You got to be careful what you say on these streams, Mike. I mean, you could get deplatformed.
We don't want that to happen.
Okay.
You need to see the craft room, Pete. We got to see it.
That's I need to come up with a fantasy football craft mashup video. Arts and crafts with Mike Leone. Okay, so it does. I'm going to go ahead and put Mahomes in our queue. He normally by ADP is there.
Is that so, 29.4? Is it?
So when I drafted this similar type of team, I ended up taking Singletary was my first running back. I believe this would have been in the 6th round. Because you end up you can squeeze in 2 more wide receivers there in that nice range. This one ended up being Allen Robinson and Diggs. Are there any other dead zone running backs though that you would consider over going 2 wide receivers after Mahomes?
I would take Connor at 3-4 turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 5-6, I think in mine, like Hunt and Ingram lasted. And I liked both those guys for this format where I felt like, I don't know, it's hard to go full zero RB in best ball, especially because our time frame for our team to come together is shortened because we need to make the playoffs, right? The winner makes the playoffs, or is it top 2?
Yeah. I should look into that more closely.
we should know. But either way, if you have 3 or 4 weeks where you're taking bad scores at running back while you're waiting for your zero RB guys to materialize, in a regular league, that doesn't matter because you just want the monster team by the end. But here, that matters. Like those points add up, with one another. It's not like, oh, you lost a week, big deal, move on, it's over. It's still counting towards your score.
Yeah. The one thing, and I, again, apologies to people who listen to me on a lot of different streams, but I do think this year is uniquely positioned for zero running back builds and backup running backs to produce quicker than they do normally. I mean, with the way we see the practice squad news being expanded where guys can get promoted up to 90 minutes before the game. And it's just adding another element of how these running backs can ascend, whether it's via injury, via performance, and now via COVID scratches. So I do think there are paths to loading up on these secondary running backs and them getting thrust into starting production earlier than they would in a normal season.
So as far as receivers, though, the trio that I seem to be targeting a lot at this 3-4 turn is Juju, Amari Cooper, and DJ Moore. I'm not sure who are your favorites.
Yeah, I've been drafting a lot of Juju and Moore. I haven't been drafting as much Cooper. I'm a little worried that of all the Dallas options, he's the one that's slightly mispriced with how good Gallup was and how good of a prospect Lamb is. It just seems like there's ways he could be getting squeezed in a lot of ways. And, people are also really excited about Jarwin right now. So either this offense is going to be like Chiefs level or somebody is overpriced right now is kind of how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I still like Cooper a lot. It's tough for me because I see what you're saying. I mean, Gallup, I think, had a higher target share than he did last year, which is hard to wrap your head around the prices when you look at it that way. And there's just part of me that thinks, okay, well, Cooper's gone, so it doesn't matter. But part of me that thinks Cooper's still going to – I don't think his target share is going to move that much from last year. Cobb and Witten had way too many targets. So as jumbled as it seems, there is a big void to be filled, which you look at some of the other offenses that build at Stephon Diggs. Like, what do you do there? Nobody's gone and they're not a high pass volume offense. There's another one like that too. Like the The Raiders are kind of tough too. I mean, obviously these aren't as good of offenses, but it's just as far as figuring out the targets when you're adding guys without subtracting anything.
Oh God,
Oh, you son of a
I don't
bitch.
even know who this is.
Leathers.
He went to
Some loser.
you got to stack Clyde Edwards-Helaire with Mahomes, right?
I can't wait to take Hardman and Watkins out of spite later.
Yes, you could try to snake us, but we will double spite you later.
Did Andrews go? I guess we can't take Andrews anyways.
So Ertz is still there. The wide receivers that we mentioned, Juju's still there. Running back, the only other running back that I've kind of been considering here is I'm warming a little bit to the idea of Chris Carson. Like, I just don't think there's a ton of difference between Chris Carson and James Conner and Joe Mixon, these guys that I don't necessarily think, man, we are getting sniped left and right here. Juju goes off the board. I guess to respond, how do you feel about Chris Carson? We are on the call now.
I'm fine with him. Him and David Johnson are the only two I would consider here. I'm not in on Fournette. I'm really not in on Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. So, hey, wait, Lamar's still available.
I know. That's why I was wondering if Andrews was. If we take Lamar, we got to get Hollywood.
And that might be close.
Okay, we got to pick. You got to pick. Lamar, all right. We're going Lamar.
This is a disaster. I've been timing out way too much. We got 20 seconds to pick. Are we going AJ Brown or Chris Carson? I feel like are the two decisions.
Let's take Carson because we know we're going to want to take Hollywood Brown in a little bit. And oh God, I can't believe you just took Carson over AJ Brown.
I asked you.
I know
you asked you. Oh my God. This is so tilting. I know that guy taking, okay, you're the stat guy. If you're that guy that has Eckler and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is the stack potential with Mahomes to CEH worth enough to pass up on Lamar over him?
Yeah, I mean, if you were taking a quarterback, yeah, you'd probably take Mahomes and just What was it's so simplistic, but what I found researching the stacking, absurdly simple, but if the offense rolls, everybody rolls is sort of the correlation more so than just the pure double dip on the passing touchdowns.
Yeah. Here's a question for you from Harbs. I know my answer is yes, but what about you?
I don't know. Silva will hurt me if I say yes because he's a huge Allen Robinson guy. But in my heart of hearts, I like AJ Brown. I think they have to throw more. There's a couple offenses. Baltimore is one of them where I think, and San Francisco too, where I think there's just this reversion to the mean where they can't pound the run as much as they did last year. So some of these guys are going to see more targets, even if the efficiency isn't quite as good. I think the volume offsets that, and AJ Brown fits that to a T, and he should see a higher target share, larger pie overall. I'm in on AJ Brown.
Yeah, me too. And I don't really see a massive improvement from Foles, from Trubisky to Foles. Like, I think people have kind of, tricked themselves into thinking that Foles is this massive upgrade. And to your point too, there is room for AJ Brown to, I still think, outrun that ADP. Whereas I think you're drafting Robinson pretty close to his ceiling there. Not necessarily in this draft where he slid a little bit more, but where I see him going sometimes in FFPC drafts at the, 2-3 turn. I mean, that's really rich.
So the issue we might run into is Hollywood Brown. As much as I like his upside, his ADP's in a weird spot where if we don't take him at the 5-6 turn, we might end up with an unstacked Lamar, which I guess if you're ending up with an unstacked quarterback, Lamar is a guy that's okay. But, what are you thinking here at 5-6?
Yeah, well, I was going to default to you on the stacking thing, but I was thinking the same thing, that we'd have to take him at 5-6 to lock him up. There just isn't too many other options in that. I mean, you can get Miles Boykin for free late. Is there anyone else that you've even been stacking Lamar with other than Andrews and Hollywood?
Boyle. No. I mean, if I have him, I'll take, you know what? I don't think I have any Lamar teams, and that's probably part of the reason. He always goes so early.
Yeah.
And I end up with a couple Mahomes teams because the pass catchers go early, and then I'm like, okay, I'll take Mahomes. But unless I'm in a weird spot where I can take Andrews, Lamar back to back, I think this might be either my first or second Lamar team. So,
well, you mentioned Ingram. Sal mentions him as, loading up on pieces in this offense. I mean, I still prefer Dobbins to Ingram. I mean, Ingram scares me because I just feel like he's getting squeezed so many ways. He's losing goal line carries to Lamar Jackson. He has J.K. Dobbins, who, for all intents and purposes, is a great running back prospect that is coming. They don't throw to the running back position a lot. So you're really just banking on him, inheriting that role from last year and just with momentum holding on to it. But I just see so many ways it goes wrong for Ingram, and I'd rather bet on those other pieces around it.
Yeah, I'm not as down on Ingram as you, just because I think the efficiency in the run game is going to be so high, and I still expect him to run ahead of Dobbins. I guess that's the big deciding point, is really who gets the larger share of the carries. But 40% of carries in this offense is going to get you pretty good at the 5-6 turn, especially in half PPR where it's not as important to get those dump offs. But
so what are you eyeing here? I mean, I start to get personally nervous in this range when we don't have more wide receivers. We talked about Marquise Brown. I mean, Diggs is the other guy that I normally hammer at this ADP. It sounds like I don't know, is this your Bills homerism? Or are you just not excited about Diggs?
I just don't see the volume. I don't
know. Someone took Josh, you're sick, dude. I thought you were
That was intentional. That was intentional.
Josh, you just took him like 2 rounds ahead of ADP.
Declaration of war. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God, Josh.
Can we start another one?
This is gross.
Where's the sim to end button?
Do you know there's cock blockers and then there's stack blockers. We're getting stack blocked right and left.
Okay. So I'm in on Gallup. Did all our guys go?
Yes.
Shit.
All of our guys went.
Can you star Gallup in case you time out here?
That's very safe. I do also like Singletary. There is the Dobbins thing if we do want to mess around with loading up on more Ravens. It looks like we're going to get Gallup here.
Yeah, let's get Gallup here. Get a receiver we both like.
I'm going to just put a few of these guys in the queue here.
The correlation.
Wait, should we snipe Ronald Jones from Pat?
No. What about Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, I don't mind Hunt either.
I like Hunt here. I like him, especially in these best ball 0 RB builds, because you get that safe pass catching floor early. So you kind of get the floor early with hopefully you hit on the huge upside late.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I kind of default to those guys. Oh, I just got a tweet here from Chris. He's already apologizing. Sorry to mess up your KC stack. Couldn't resist pairing CEH with Mahomes. Perhaps I'd trade him for a man's coin, though. That is no good to me right now.
Chris, you think you're being funny, bud. But
jeez. Well, Chris, now I'm going to roast your avatar picture after this, okay? What is this, on your wedding day? Or are you even the groom here, or are you the groomsman? I mean, come on, we get it. It's windy out and you look cool in your sunglasses. Apology not accepted, Chris.
Yeah. Hard pass on that apology.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like Hunt. Those are the guys that I think you do want to be taking here in this 0 RB range that have that standalone value early and also have the massive upside for you down the stretch.
A little bit like I did yesterday, where I'm in no man's land a little bit with this start. But I guess we really want to hit some receivers, right?
We do. We want to hit them hard. It will come as a surprise to no one. Daily Rojo drafted Ronald Jones. Pat has a nice start here with Adams, AJ Brown, Diggs. Yeah. So wide receivers, I mean, it is starting to thin out here. Like I think
I like Kirk.
I do too. I think we might be double tapping wide receiver here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so because it really thins out after this as far as the guys I really like. There's a tier. I like Kirk, Boyd. I like.
Oh, sorry.
Should I? I'm afraid to even say it. I'm like so.
Snake
I like
bin.
PTSD from the. Why do I keep calling it the roulette draft? Why can't I figure out what's the
randomizer draft? Yeah, we got to do we'll do another one of those down the road because ours was marred with technical difficulties. This is to your point about talking about is every time I get on one of these streams and I'm like, you know what? I don't care if I lose a little EV. We'll let people into our thought process. There's always options. And then the first pick you get sniped and you're like, I'm never fucking saying what I want to do again on this stream.
Dude, it's unreal. I mean, what is wrong with these people?
They're sick, man.
How can they're listening to us and they gotta be, are they lagged at all? Where's the lag? Can you instill a lag?
I know. That's my one thing. I've been talking up StreamYard to you. We need a slight lag here, just like they do in OBS for the poker streamers and stuff.
You're fine.
I can't even see. I don't even want to use the queue because then I'm signaling to people what we want to do. And then because of that, not having a queue, then we're getting timed out.
I feel like we need hand signals. I'm reading this book. These thieves have these elaborate hand signals. We need to work out some smoke screens, start like throw. Who should we throw in our queue? You know who I really like this year? I know it's a little bit early, but Marlon Mack, great RB target. Throw him at the top of our queue, Pete.
Silva might actually fire if you ironically tout Marlon Mack and aren't sincere about it.
Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones and Jamison Crowder are two guys where I was way ahead of the market on like early in the offseason. What's funny is you're laughing because I think you thought I was kidding, but I'm not. I know. And I just kept waiting to draft them because their ADPs were so low. And then I wouldn't get them. And now their ADPs have come up really high and they're not as appealing.
Harb says he's reading the Gentleman Bastard series. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's a little bit creepy.
Wow. Harb has a webcam in your craft room.
I'm listening to it on Audible. Maybe he's hacked my phone or my Audible subscription. Dude, but isn't receiver usually a little bit better this late?
Yeah. Well, but we have Eric Belair in here. We have Pat. We have lots of, people that are on the squad that have joined the movement, the zero RB movement, and then it's making our lives very difficult.
I know it really makes me regret the decision at 3-4 to go Carson over AJ Brown right about now. That's a moment where you've convinced yourself that you need to draft these running backs early, and so in moments of weakness you default to the running back. And just me being a polite host, I defaulted to you. Yeah, that's I would never have let that happen on my watch. What's so I've got like this robust, hyper fragile running back strategy that I like, but I get really thrown off when I'm in the back end of the draft and it doesn't make sense to do 2 out of the gate early. And then I'm not sure what to do because it's in the back of my head that I need running backs early, but I'm not getting the type of running backs that you want for that type of build where you can just go 3 and out. And that's where I get really screwed up. So that's sort of what happened there.
Yeah, no, it was a weird spot. Also, going back, if we had more time and we didn't get timed out, do you think we would have taken Lamar, or would you have actually wanted a mulligan on that?
I want a mulligan on that, I think.
Yeah. Kyler Murray does.
I know the 2 that I want right now.
You wanted Cooks?
Yeah, I did. I guess you didn't.
I have 2 that I want right now. And I'll let you know after the Daily Rojo snake goes. The 2 I like would be Dobbins and Hardman. Because again, and normally I'm not on Dobbins here, but just trying to give us one other.
I'm on Dobbins. I like the Dobbins pick. Hardman feels so early.
It's not though. We're we've been through
Yeah, I
7
know.
rounds. But
I'm just not on Hardman, especially now we're going 3 Chiefs with an
oh, you're
unstacked
right. I
Mahomes.
did forget about that. The other guy I like here
These
that I
other
like more,
receivers suck. What happened? Where'd they all go? CeeDee Lamb, I would take over Hardman, I think.
I like Mike Williams too. I'm coming around on Mike Williams.
Uh, so
We're
this
gonna get
your
Dobbins
receiver
here.
board or the ADP board? This is the ADP board. God,
Yeah.
these receivers are terrible. I'm upset, Pete.
So we have 24 seconds. Do we want to just go complete raw dog naked Chiefs, or are you going to talk me into another wide receiver? But
My vote would be like Rieger or CeeDee Lamb. I would go one of those rookies.
Okay. I have very little CeeDee Lamb. Let's give him a shot.
Okay. Oh wait. Oh,
don't worry.
We need the Amari Cooper injury for this.
Yeah.
If there, I do think that it's okay to have teammates that are unstacked because it's the same concept, right? The idea is that the Dallas offense rolls and these guys are both going to do really well. Obviously, you can't double dip Gallup and CeeDee Lamb at all, but I don't think it's a death sentence. I know I was talking to Davis about it, and he did one of these where they did the Chiefs stack and got sniped on Mahomes, and he thought it was super, super minus EV, but I really don't think it's that bad. It's obviously not ideal, but.
So let's talk a little bit here. Obviously, we know we need still a bunch of wide receivers with Lamar and
we do
with Lamar and Kelsey. I assume we're still going to draft one other quarterback and one other tight end, but we're going to really kick that down the road, right?
I think we have to. Yeah. Cheap, like super cheap stacks you can get at the end, and like Chenault, Minshew. I ended up that last night when I was just totally despondent at the end of the draft. My tight end situation. I think 3 of the last 4 rounds I went Minshew, Chenault, Eifert.
Yeah. I mean, I do think with this build, targeting
this hodgepodge.
I know, and it kind of this is the other thing that is harder for me too, and why I tend to gravitate towards zero RB is because a lot of the picks that are going to be available in this 9 through 12 range, I almost always prefer the running back. Just, looking at this board of wide receivers, there's not a lot to get excited about, but we're just going to have to attack it with volume.
I think this is, yeah, exactly. I think this is where we, in a way, still go hyper fragile at running back, just with worse targets and just hope that they're okay. You know what I mean, though? Like I don't think there's any point in us. We got lucky with the bye weeks here, 6, 8, 9. I don't think we're drafting a lot of running backs like you would into the zero RB build. I think we're capping at 5, and we're taking a ton of receivers.
Yeah. So Harb says, I think this is negative EV because you compete in playoffs with teams that have the full stack. I think that would be true for an individual stack, but how many teams are going to have like the stacks with the Cowboys and the Chiefs? Like you're not going to be able to have those double stacks for all of the top offenses. So to have concentrated chunks of those offenses, even in unstacked quarterback pairings, I don't hate it.
Yeah, and it's it's possible that Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns and he's not the optimal play for a team in the playoffs. And if he throws 3 touchdowns and Hill and Kelsey have pretty strong weeks, like you can still combat that with the stacks that you do take. If you get a good week out of whatever stack you have, I don't think it even has to be a specific one, but it's not nuts that Lamar outscores Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill do okay, but you do have to thread the needle there a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
What I don't like about the tournament structure is that your regular season score doesn't carry over at all. So it's kind of like you have 4 uncorrelated tournaments you have to win. You have to get in the playoffs. And that's a little bit less variance because it's obviously the first 13 weeks. But then each playoff week is its own thing. And that annoyed me a little bit last year going through the draft playoffs, just because, 1 week Adrian Peterson went off. And it's like all these teams with Adrian Peterson advanced and he had one good week, and you had to have Adrian Peterson. Whereas if that was evened out a little bit with the playoff weeks being more an NFFC structure where they all count together, that wouldn't have happened. So that hurts me a little bit.
Yeah, I know you want to reward a little bit of that season, like the way Scott Fish does it for the Fishbowl too, where you start with I believe it's like in the playoffs, you start with your average from the regular season.
Yeah, that's what NFFC does. Is you have your average from the regular season, so it kind of counts as 1 week, and then each playoff week counts as 1 week. So it's like 4 weeks of scores added together, but that first week is just your average from the regular season. That's how I set up the auction dynasty league that
or
the
hang on, let's
do the dynasty one. You didn't have it in yet.
No, was it okay? We are on the clock here. We need wide receivers. I mean, the one guy I starred that I do like of this group is Preston Williams. Is there any other wide receiver you want to go to bat for here?
I like the Giants guys, Golden Tate. I think he's pretty underrated. I know that probably sounds super boring to you. Also, I mean, if you're taking Hardman that early, why are people so much higher on Hardman than Sammy Watkins? I guess I don't totally get that. I'm fine with taking Preston, but I'd ring the bell for Sammy or Tate here, or Harry.
Yeah, I was going to say Harry. I didn't know if there was a chance we could get him coming back, but I mean, the way
I feel like we've got to take the guy that we like most, the way this is going.
I do like Harry the most of all.
Let's go Harry.
All right.
And if people haven't adjusted a ton to Cam, I mean, not that you need sometimes he goes pretty late though.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't care too much about the second quarterback, but if we end up in a dead spot, we can always take him.
Okay. So we're through 10 rounds. We have 8 more picks. We're at 1 quarterback, 1 tight end. We know we're going to add 1 more each of those. So that gets us to 12. So that leaves us with 6 more picks to distribute over running back and wide receiver. I'm guessing we're like 4-2 with that. 4 more wide receivers and 2 more running backs.
Yeah, I think so. And here's a strategic question for you. So we're in a room we know goes more 0 RB heavy than the average room, right? And we're feeling that now with a lot of the receivers gone that we would like to take here. How do you mesh that with early on, zigging when others zag, right? You don't want to do the same strategy everybody else is doing. It starts to lose value. But at the same time, I sure wish we had bought into some more wide receivers early, given what the room looks like now.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it comes down to 2 things. I think it's a cautionary tale for expensive stacks in that, and you guys have written about this a bit too, of looking at the cheaper stacks where you get the AJ Brown because you can get Ryan Tannehill cheaply later. And so we kind of backed ourselves into a corner there, and then we were kind of chasing in a way our way out of that construction since it didn't work out. And then again, too, just in general of thinking that the wide receivers after the first 4 or 5 picks in the draft are going to be the optimal pick for about 5 rounds, and really trying to hit that when you have that window. I think maybe because we didn't get our stack and because we weren't going robust RB, I think the Carson over AJ Brown was probably our fatal flaw in this build.
Yeah, I'll take the L on that one.
No. I was all discombobulated as well, and I was open to getting a running back, but it seems like our 2 key initiatives, we kind of now are doing watered down versions of.
We couldn't go Lamar running back there. We had to go receiver Lamar, receiver running back.
Yeah. We didn't, because we were so thrown from the Mahomes snipe, we didn't have enough time to regroup and think about it structurally.
And we had 2 full rounds where we knew that he was probably going to get sniped. But, the clock goes fast when you're broadcasting.
It sure does. I'm averaging a timeout stream these days. And not even kidding. I've gotten timed out, I think, on my last 4 streams. I gotta get better, Mike.
I guess you just got to star anyone who's close just to.
Yeah, we should probably keep an eye on now too.
Edmonds, did Zach Moss go?
Yeah, Eric Belair took him in like early 9th. He's gotten expensive.
Are you on Duke at all?
Duke, yeah, I think Duke is I don't have a ton of him, but I think he's a great zero RB target.
Crane got me on Boston Scott, so I've got him. And he's another one of those guys where I think there's going to be some base production, out of the gate.
Yeah. Hornsby says, you need a nanny. No, what I need is a guy named Josh Hornsby not in my draft sniping me. That's what I need.
Wait, is he on with two different names? Didn't he have his ADHD
monitor? You're right. I think he bounced over to YouTube when he saw that there. D-Max says, how many beers in is two hats?
None, surprisingly.
But after he looks at this roster, he's going to have a few after.
This is like my confidence is shaken between last night's draft and this. I don't know if I have not had two drafts in a row where I felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah, you've lost it here for sure. Other wide receivers. So like these names are interesting to me. I like we're talking about them. Like, what's that? Go ahead.
Tell me why Mecole Hardman should be going 3 rounds ahead of Sammy Watkins. Explain it to me like I'm 5.
So the case for Mecole, and I don't know if you got a chance to read Blair's article up on RotoViz about age and efficiency, but he is kind of just forecasting Mecole as a major breakout candidate based on his rookie year efficiency. And how rare that is at his age, and then you just compare it to the Chiefs offense. But the counterpoint, of course, and why his ADP isn't higher is because of Sammy Watkins and them re-signing Demarcus Robinson and all of that. But I like Mecole Hardman, but I understand your argument.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look up the RotoViz game splits app on targets per game Hardman had last year with Sammy Watkins, and I'm not logged in, of course. But it was an incredibly low amount of targets. And
of course, Pat takes. And Scott.
I understand the efficiency was otherworldly year one, and you expect this growth.
Hang on. Sorry, Mike. We're on the clock.
Okay, so I'm cool with. Let's see. Well, I like Sammy. I would take Sammy and Lazard of this group. I think Lazard with the Funchess opt out and what they did this offseason, pretty safe.
I like these picks here for us. I mean, we continue to load up on the Chiefs with Sammy, and then Lazard now. That even though we were in pretty dire straits here, I think getting Lazard as our wide receiver 7 starts to make me feel a little better.
You know what really tilts me, Pete?
What?
Is if we had gotten Mahomes, we would have taken Hardman where we didn't take Hardman, and like we would have had the quad stack.
We could have had it. Of course we could have
had the quad stack.
All right, we're gonna take Lazard here. That now puts us up to 7 wide receivers, 3 running backs, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end. I am going to add the quarterbacks and tight ends back into our pool here at this point. I think we can see if anyone interesting slips here, and just not ruling out a really good quarterback or tight end value, even though I think we can kick the can down the road if we need.
Yeah, we're making it work. Structurally, we did the right thing by just getting receivers 4 straight. That's what we need to do.
I just want to check in on so we're now into there's definitely some intriguing 0 RB candidates, but in general, this is a pretty flat tier. You're getting kind of the same as I think about it, the probability of them being a league winner is pretty even in this range. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I just realized I need to adjust some RBs in my personal rankings.
So what
the one that just went was my favorite, but Chase Edmonds wasn't going to make it back to us anyways.
Yeah. Why is he your? I guess I'm a little worried about how good of a prospect Eno was, and I've been drafting Eno late. I know the draft capital wasn't there, but I guess I'm just not convinced that Edmonds would just be this runaway top 6 or 7 running back in the event of a Drake injury, as I am with, say, a Tony Pollard, where I'm pretty convinced that would be the case if Zeke went down.
No, I think that's right, and that's why I didn't, stand for him over those receivers. I think he was the best available, but I don't have. There's a lot of sharp people that are really on him. I know Podfather was giving me crap last night for taking Darrell Henderson over Chase Edmonds, which I feel pretty good about that move. So I'm more with you than I think some of the other analysts, but I still like him. I kind of split the difference. I have some Edmonds, and then Eno's free in a lot of these drafts, so a lot of 16th round Eno.
Yeah, for sure. Darrell Henderson, man, he is that pick that the 2-0 RB picks that feel like, just to me, they feel gross, but I think are actually like really good picks are Tariq Cohen and Darrell Henderson. I think both of those are really good picks, but it still always feels gross every time.
Yeah, I mean Henderson was going in the 6th round last year this time, so no, I don't know. I feel you get him in the 11th round. I feel fine. Tariq, I was on. He was in that Jamison Crowder, Marvin Jones group for me, where these guys seem so boring, and the market wasn't on them at all a month ago, and I kept waiting and getting them late, and now they're starting to move up. Tariq Cohen went at the end of the 5th round last night, and that's where you start to lose me.
Yeah, no, you definitely lose me there. I've been seeing him in some drafts in like, the 9th round. I guess maybe it's the, in best ball cliche. People feel better about getting those big Tariq Cohen weeks. But Jarrell Henderson too, again, I'm not a game watcher. I'm not a narrative guy, but every time you read quotes from McVay, he talked about his running back group the other day. Darrell Henderson was the first one he mentioned. There was a Goff quote, and he was talking about how great Darrell Henderson's hands have been in catching the ball out of the backfield. So there's a lot of indicators that he's going to be involved. It's just to what extent.
Yeah. Cam goes.
I was keeping a candle on for him.
Yeah. Paris Campbell went, but another double stack late if you get stuck with no correlation. I mean, it's hard to take Rivers in these things because you don't see the huge upside, but you can get Pittman, Campbell, Rivers sometimes, absurdly late.
Yeah, for sure. I'm keeping an eye. Okay, Jonnu goes. I was also looking at a little double there. I was like, oh, maybe we go Jonnu Tannehill at that turn.
Yeah.
No one want. Here's another one. It's kind of it's grosser than I think, but you could do it. Roethlisberger Ebron.
Oh, that wasn't what I was thinking, but
and then Ebron goes.
I was thinking super gross.
Okay, hit me.
Thinking Perriman, Herndon. You get Darnold at the very end.
Yeah, I don't mind that. So Tannehill goes. So Perriman. I mean, Perriman falling all this way. I don't mind that. What do you think?
We're okay with the running backs. We think they're flat enough. I mean, Perriman feels good here.
I do like Gibson, but Perriman does feel real good here.
Go to tight ends.
It's getting pretty.
But do we care that it's gross?
No, we don't. So we're getting Perriman.
Herndon or Gibson. Yeah, let's get Perriman, and then I think it's Herndon or Gibson. I'm leaning Gibson.
I think I lean Gibson too. Yeah,
we're not gonna, because if we take Herndon, we're gonna be like, well, then we'll just take Darnold late, and Darnold sucks. And I'd rather not box myself into that corner.
Yeah, I think Gibson is a pretty nice value here in the early 14th. And I think
the 14th round, but a turn finally felt good.
It did actually finally feel good. I mean, again, Gibson, the nice thing is I think he is going to have some standalone value out of the gate, and that's a pretty uncertain backfield in a lot of ways. And I think there's paths to him flashing early and carving out a bigger role.
Yeah, I think all our guys are going to have some weekly value out of the gate, which is nice. We definitely don't need more than 5. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. And I'm not panicked based on where we are with quarterback and tight end. And I feel like as worried as I was, I do not mind this wide receiver group here. I think this has some nice potential.
And that's kind of the, I guess, retort in favor of the robust running back early is that you just hit it with quantity. You got starting receivers throughout this whole draft. That elite wide receiver edge is just diminished a little bit when you don't have to pick who's starting.
And I will concede that point. And it's also, though, why I'll dig my heels into it in the managed format when everyone wants to talk about how the wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 scoring, it's all narrowing and enclosing on the wide receiver 1. But it's like, okay, good luck deciding which weeks to start those guys. It's like you can fill your bench up with them, and yeah, it's great. Best ball will start them for you. But in managed leagues, just good luck trying to decide when to start Brashad Perriman.
Yeah, I'm with you. The managed leagues, I'm still going pretty heavy 0 RB. And I even tried not to at the beginning of the offseason, but the markets reacted so strongly in favor of running backs that I can't bite the bullet on it. Best ball, I've forced myself to. Trust me, it doesn't feel good. It's not like I want to go RB heavy early, but I think strategically it makes sense. But managed leagues, especially, dude, NFFC leagues, I know I was DMing you about this a few weeks ago, but full PPR, 3 wide receiver and 1 flex. The ADPs aren't that different from the FFPC leagues, or at least they weren't early on when I was drafting. And yet it's so much better for 0 RB than the FFPC leagues.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Pat and I did the FFWC last year where you could start 5 wide receivers. And I think we were really close to having a monster team because we hit on Sutton early or in the mid rounds. But it was like a couple of our big cracks up top with Juju and Damian Williams. Our one detour for a running back didn't work out. But yeah, to your point, I mean, formats like that where you can start 5 wide receivers and the ADPs aren't adjusting to it. It's pretty wild. Okay, so we are going to be coming up here.
Do we have one more receiver or no?
I think we can, because I was thinking, we're at 8. Yeah.
Yeah. One of everything.
Yep. 12, 13, 14. Yeah. One of everything.
Is Chenault there?
Yeah. In this, you got to read.
I should have said a Daily Rojo's coming up.
Read the fucking room, dude.
Oh my
God. I can't. As if he wasn't on Pat's radar. Whatever.
Okay. Well, good trick there. We didn't want that stack.
Actually, he might already be gone. I think he might.
No, there's someone we have to take at receiver anyways. So
hang on. Yeah, he's gone. Sorry, Pat took him in the 14th. We were worried about him taking him in the 15th. He took him in the 14th. Oh God.
Okay, so there's a guy I think we should grab, but I don't know if we have to grab him here. What's the tight end board look like?
Yeah, let's see here.
Jarrell Everett.
We could keep with our naked stack tradition, Lazard and Sternberger.
Just hope the offenses hit a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Is there also some? No, there's probably nothing to that. I was just wondering if there's some, like, if it actually helps your floor a little bit with it being like a low cost 2 teammates where you just hope one of them does well 1 week because you're not counting on both those guys to be starters weekly.
Yeah,
that's probably not a thing, but it went through my mind.
We can talk ourselves. Okay, we're on the clock. We are going to have to scramble here.
I mean, Boykin feels like we should be taking him. I don't know if we would have to take him here, but with this room, I almost feel like maybe we should just take Boykin.
Yeah, 206.
I know it's a reach, but
no, I am kind of with you. I think we don't. And so that's our last wide receiver.
So, can you quick quarterback? Do we?
I kind of like I like Joshua Kelly.
Okay, I mean, can you click the running backs real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with Kelly. I don't have like huge preferences. I've been buying McKinnon a little bit, but
yeah,
I've soured on Devonta, seeing as how he hasn't signed yet.
I'd
either go Kelly or Everett probably, but I don't have a huge preference.
Yeah, let's. I think I like Kelly enough here to try to get our last running back and be done with it. Okay. All right. So this puts us up to, so we now have 2 more, and we're going to finally hit our quarterback and tight end here at the end. So we're done at wide receiver. We're done at running back. I think we covered ground well after the start.
We recovered. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of bullets in the wide receiver chamber there. And I do think going back to the mistakes people make when they draft Kelsey and Lamar is I don't think people have the stomach for going hyperfragile there when that's absolutely what you need to do to recover on the capital you passed up on to get wide receivers.
Yeah, that's what I really like best ball, because it's the one format where I will maybe consider taking an elite quarterback early, or I might deviate. I feel like because there's different structures and you can make up for the opportunity cost of investing a premium in a 1Z position early by investing in bulk at the other positions. I don't know. I like the strategy so much more than managed.
Yeah, it is true too, because every single pick in a way, obviously you get locked in, after 7 or 8 picks, but each pick kind of changes your construction possibilities in real time. And if you're not adjusting for that based on the capital you spend early, you're just going to be building negative EV rosters.
Yeah, you draft Travis Kelce. You're not just drafting Travis Kelce. You're drafting Travis Kelce and an extra wide receiver spot.
Yep.
And, the A.J. Brown Carson thing, I still think it was a mistake, but having Carson lets us not take more running backs.
And I don't know if you've heard, but Lamar Jackson is actually like a quarterback and running back in one spot, dude.
Can we appeal to Underdog to get that to count?
Yeah.
Dual eligibility.
Dual eligibility. The other nice thing too about when you do punt quarterback too deep down the road is that there's still often really cheap stack potential. Like there's even the Dolphins are the ultimate one. Like you can take your flavor of Fitzpatrick or Tua whenever you get, Williams or Parker.
The thing that scares me, does it scare you at all though, taking possibly a 0 when you're only taking 2 quarterbacks?
Well, here's the thing, right? And I don't want to get the fear, right, is always in a GPP, you can do anything. But I do think with these kind of constructions, you're playing for like very specific outcomes, right? To where it's maybe not is that bad logic that you could justify anything?
I don't know. I mean, I guess there's kind of like, if that QB doesn't hit, who cares? But at the same time, do you want to not make the playoffs with a killer Lamar stack because you rolled the dice on your QB2?
Yeah. And to that point,
I think the skill in these more than anything is getting into the playoffs. Going back to those 3 straight uncorrelated tournaments you have to win, more or less, it's kind of a crapshoot. So just getting in, it might be where the skill lies.
I agree. Yeah. And to that point, I think you would break the tie in favor of Tua, because it's like, okay, Lamar's going to carry you there. And then hopefully by, week 13, week 14, Tua has kind of exploded onto the scene as a dual threat quarterback. Whereas Fitzpatrick, there's the risk that he could be good for you early, but get benched later in the season.
Yeah. Kevin Cole is getting me on Tua. He just sees no way Tua isn't playing pretty heavily, pretty early. It sounds like he's healthy. What's weird is I have opposite reactions to the 2 rookie quarterback situations, and it's 100% anchoring, but I just really want Ty God to be a thing.
He is going to be a thing. I mean, everything you hear from the Chargers, like I don't hear any hype about Justin Herbert from their front office. It's all just like, Tyrod's our quarterback. We're ready to roll.
I'm definitely on the Ty God, Anthony Lynn narrative. He was the running backs coach and then offensive coordinator in Buffalo here when Tyrod had those really good seasons. And he doesn't seem like the type. So, I mean, I kind of like Tyrod after I gave a whole spiel about not going risky at RB2 or QB2.
Yeah, but what about, so do you prefer a naked Tyrod over the Darnold Perriman stack? It looks like that's probably the most logical if we are trying to get a stack here.
Okay, what are our tight end options?
So tight end, hang on, I'm just going to put Darnold here for a sec. Tight end, we have Howard and Knox. I mean, you're the Buffalo guy. What's your thought on Knox?
I just don't see how he's ever going to have enough targets.
Yeah.
So I'm on Howard. Make Howard the pick. This pick.
Okay. All right. So let's do Howard. That's who I paired with Kelsey in my other draft the other day. I'm on team Gronk is cooked, and I'm also on team thinking this offense is going to be good, and that's bringing me toward getting some late OJ Howard shares.
Yeah, I'm still buying some Gronk, but I don't know, I'll buy them both. I think the offense is going to be really good. So I guess we're just going with the Darnold stack. The bye weeks, fine.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, we did it, Mike. We did it. Sam Darnold.
It's a safe choice. It's the right choice.
Yeah, and I do think there's still some room for Sam Darnold to grow.
This is how sick best ball is. I'm Googling Sam Darnold's week 13 matchup. The Raiders at home. Oh my God.
Dude, just Brashad Perriman just going off for 202 TDs, all from Sam Darnold.
Gonna vault us week 13, vault us into the playoffs.
I see that Josh ADHD says last pick is for you, Peter. He takes Taysom Hill. He loves Taysom Hill. I saw you doing that on another draft too, Josh.
Talking about lighting money on fire.
Yeah. Chris G wants us to run it back. We'll get together for more streams in the future.
Do a drunk one.
We will. I want to get you back on the randomizer because the first time I did it, I think it was the inaugural one.
Yeah, we had some tech issues.
So we'll get that squared away.
Fun.
It's a good time. My streaming schedule, I think Tuesday afternoons, I'm going to do a Best Ball Mania team with a guest. And then the randomizer shows will be Thursday evenings, but we'll get Mike back on for sure for some drunken Underdog randomizer wheel drafting. Are you working on any other best ball content right now, or just kind of those evergreen pieces you guys put up?
Right now, with DraftKings launching, looking at some stuff, helping Leviton go through potential roster construction for that. That one, the stacking especially is, with the full PPR and the bonuses at 100, 300 yards, I think super important. But other than that, I don't have too much in the pipeline. I wrote my Underdog hyper fragile running back article. And I think Underdog in particular in the Best Ball Mania tournament is, I think it's a strategy that, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, I think the people that go running back early will end up taking too many running backs. You can kind of differentiate yourself by only taking even 3. If you pick first, you start with McCaffrey. I could even see just taking 3 running backs out of the gate and not taking another one. Yeah.
And that's what I was kind of talking myself into when I did the Chiefs stack the other night. And what we were trying to do is even because the Chiefs stack is going to be highly owned based on how ADP works. However, I think most people, when they start with 3 Chiefs, their 4th and 5th round picks are going to be hammering running back just naturally. Whereas I have a stomach for a 0 RB build with that Chief stack, which I think will naturally get you unique. So as long as you are, finding ways to get unique within those stacks, I think you'll be good. Man, I keep going back to the idea. It would be so fun to see a live ownership dashboard of specific team stacks to inform your contrarian plays.
Yeah, I could see us, play the best plays versus we've done that in DFS. We've gone back and forth on play the best plays versus the contrarian builds. And I think I could see myself chasing some stacks that I might not normally have just to get them together. And when I was talking to Crane about the hyper fragile running back approach, he's like pointing out that you want a portfolio of running backs if you're doing that, because you don't want any one running back injury to kill you. Because the whole idea is that they're going to get hurt and those teams are dead, but you have this diversified portfolio. I think you could apply that to stacks too, where you're stacking different, you stack Rams and Steelers on one team, Rams and Cleveland on another team, and you sort of round robin it. So you just get the right connections going with one another and hope to hit on, the exact perfect pairing.
For sure. All right. This has been a good time. Check out Leone's stuff over at ETR. They got a lot of good evergreen articles about drafting in the Underdog Championship. Like I said, I will be back Thursday. I'm bringing in CSU Rammies, my old friend, to tackle the randomizer wheel. I'll be asking you guys for suggestions for that on Thursday. But for my guest, 2 hats, 1 mic. For our naked Lamar Jackson team, him and Miles Boykin. I'm Peter Overzet. We'll see you guys next time.